Stunning. I love the word fat. If you say I'm fat, I'm not offended by that. Fat to me is a description. I'm proud to be fat.
Julianne Watasek has come a long way. Overweight since childhood, she remembers being told to cover her body starting at age 8.
You're fat, you do not let that show. Hide it, hide it, hide it.
But a few years ago, she hooked up with this group, the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, or NAFA. Members here are encouraged to look in the mirror and embrace what they see. At first,
it was so uncomfortable. And 6 months later, I'm like, do.
Instead of weigh-ins, NAFA has yay-ins.
I yay ravishing.
I am halfway between sexy and lovely.
Oh, I yay sexy.
Jeanette DePatty is the group's fitness advisor. After embracing her size, she became a fitness instructor. Her video is called The Fat Chick Works Out. Why the name?
Wow, that exercise instructor is fat. Well, yeah, I am.
But she decided not to let it stop her.
I had been feeling very much like my life couldn't start until I reached a certain size. And then one day I realized I might never reach that magic number.
I yay ravishing.
I am halfway between sexy and lovely.
Oh, I yay sexy.
I blog at Fat Heffalump, where I've been blogging for about 5 years. And it's my goal to change the way people think about fatness. I always thought I was fat. One of my earliest memories, I was called fat. I've always been called fat. And I believe that the worst thing a person could possibly be was fat. Through my teens and 20s and early 30s, I just battled it in every single way I could. You name the diet, I was on it. You name the weight loss plan, I was on it. I believed that I couldn't do anything in life that was good until I was thin. I couldn't have any form of success, couldn't have a good job, couldn't have a loving relationship, couldn't be happy in any way. So I didn't try.
The one thing I love about being fat, and all your haters or people who don't agree with whatever I'm saying, I'm sorry, please turn off please get out of this video now, okay? But the one thing that I absolutely love about being fat is the pool. And I also like the pool for a lot of reasons. First of all, the pool, I can do I can do flips, I can do handstands, I can do a whole bunch of things that I could not do on land. And where I go swim, they have a 10-foot deep pool thing, like a diving tank. Yeah, a diving tank. That's what it's called. But yeah, they have a diving tank, and they let me go in on Saturdays. Yeah, on Saturdays and Friday. But the really cool thing is I can go all the way to the bottom and stay there for like okay, I can't stay down there that long, but I am the only one in my family that can go down there without, like, my skinny sisters, they have to push themselves down. I just jump in and make the hugest splash, and it's just so cool and amazing. That's one thing I love.
I'm not sure if any of you have noticed, but I'm fat. Not the lowercase muttered behind my back kind, or the seemingly harmless chubby or cuddly. I'm not even the more sophisticated, voluptuous or curvaceous kind. Let's not sugarcoat it. I am the capital F-A-T kind of fat. I am the elephant in the room. When I walked out on stage, some of you may have been thinking, oh, this is going to be hilarious, because everybody knows that fat people are funny. Or you may have been thinking, where does she get her confidence from? Because a confident fat woman is almost unthinkable. The fashion-conscious members of the audience may have been thinking how fabulous I look in this Beth Ditto dress. Thank you very much. Where some of you might have thought, oh, black would have been so much more slimming. You may have wondered, consciously or not, if I have diabetes, or a partner, or if I eat carbs after 7 p.m. You may have worried that you ate carbs after 7 p.m. last night and that you really should renew your gym membership. These judgments are insidious. They can be directed at individuals and groups, and they can also be directed at ourselves. And this way of thinking is known as fat phobia. Like any form of systematic oppression, fat phobia is deeply rooted in complex structures like capitalism, patriarchy, and racism. And that can make it really difficult to see, let alone challenge. We live in a culture where being fat is seen as being a bad person. Lazy, greedy, unhealthy, irresponsible, and morally suspect. And we tend to see thinness as being universally good, responsible, successful, and in control of our appetites, bodies, and lives. We see these ideas again and again in the media, in public health policy, doctors' offices, in everyday conversations, and in our own attitudes. We may even blame fat people themselves for the discrimination they face because, after all, if we don't like it, we should just lose weight. Easy. This anti-fat bias has become so integral, so ingrained to how we value ourselves and each other, that we rarely question why we have such contempt for people of size and where that disdain comes from. But we must question it, because the enormous value we place on how we look affects every one of us. And do we really want to live in a society where people are denied their basic humanity if they don't subscribe to some arbitrary form of acceptance?
There's a documentary coming out called Fatitude, all about fat bodies in pop culture. Oh, wow. Yeah, Lindsay Averill, who's a friend of mine and a co-director.
Are you in this movie?
I am.
Oh, great.
And Tess, and like great. Every other body image person in the world. Actually, they interviewed a lot of cool people. But she talks about how there's 16, roughly, archetypes, ways that we see fat people portrayed. And that's very limited.
Right.
And in the grand scheme of all of the types of characters that we have in the world, but I write in my book about 3 that I think are especially harmful. And then when I lecture, I talk about it too. We see the funny fat person, the stupid fat person, and the evil fat person.
Oh, yeah.
And like you can list like 20 characters for each of these.
The first one that comes to mind is the sea witch from
Ursula.
Yeah, it's Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Penguin from Batman.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Jabba the Hutt.
And those images are just quietly put into our point of view, and I didn't even think that far into it, that those are the characteristics of the evil people in a lot of these movies. They're all fat.
And not all fat, funny, stupid, evil, well, I'm going to say not all funny, stupid, evil people are fat. But when you see fat bodies portrayed in popular culture, we're talking characters, not people. Not Adele, we're talking about...
Right, characters.
Yeah.
Such as Jabba the Hutt.
Such as. More often than not, when we do see fat bodies, they are portrayed in those 3 ways, or maybe, the other ones that Lindsay talks about. But what ends up happening because of this conditioning is when we see fat bodies outside of those roles,
how do you subconsciously connect that?
We don't know how to process fat bodies who are happy, smart, really successful, kind, not, villainous in any way. So we really start to identify fat bodies, and that's why we have those knee-jerk reactions where we laugh at fat people, we hate fat people, we feel sad for fat people, all these different feelings we have, and we wonder why. We've been given a very minimal way in which to process fat bodies.
You heard that right. How is a woman supposed to say body positive these days when they're ass-exposing, plastic-titted clones everywhere, taking a shit all over the female ego?
Photoshop, corsets, and Botox, oh please.
And then there are mixed signals everywhere telling you to just be you.
But look like this.
Love yourself.
But look like this.
Be body positive.
But only if you look like this.
No offense, J-Lo, but this Jenny from the block eats meat with rice and beans, no salad.
Yeah, it's okay to be thick, but just not here or here, or here. How the fuck is that possible without a magic wand?
So how far back do you need to go with the self-love? Do you just say, I accept my body as or myself as the way I am? Or do you need to go back and like actually treat the depression first before you can get to the point where you actually can say that you have self-love instead of self-hate? Because I know you deal with mental health issues.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's a catch-22. You're depressed, so you eat, you get fat, and now you're depressed because you're fat. But you're fat because you're depressed.
I eat because I'm unhappy. And I'm unhappy because I eat.
So how do you
That's a really good question. Well, I always believe in treating mental health first because when our brains are functioning, the rest of our life can also function. So they are inextricably connected. But if it were me, I think that, looking at our mental health is probably the most important starting point. I think that learning to love your body happens when you start to love life, when you start to like your brain, when you start to like all of those different things.
So you have to get that part right first.
Well, I think you do it together.
Together. Okay.
Yeah, I think you need to do it together. I think if you have to only focus on one thing, focus on your brain. The rest of your life revolves around that. But if you can also work in this element of like, okay, I realize that the reason I dislike my body is because I've been taught to dislike my body, and everyone else does too. And maybe you can kind of let go of that weight, right? Of the weight of hating yourself. That makes working on your mental health easier. So you kind of have to like dissect the different sections.
Do you think they just misunderstand us, or
nope?
Just judge us?
Nope.
What do you think?
I think that it's a thing called body currency, and I think we buy into this lie that says if you achieve the perfect body, you will find love, success, worthiness, and happiness. So we all invest everything we've got. We like give all of our money to $60 billion a year to weight loss and beauty, and we go to the gym every day and we hate ourselves while we do it because that is inspirational and we will get better and obviously then find happiness. The sad thing is that being thin does not necessarily equal being happy, and so it's kind of this like scheme that is a hoax, and it makes people mad when you don't.
Who suffer from eating disorders in this country. There are really heartbreaking statistics about self-esteem.
I think the most important thing that we can give to a child is a love for their body. And having cake and ice cream at someone's birthday party isn't why America's fat. It's acting like every day is somebody's birthday party is why America is fat.
But what about when you start to go the other way and you say, oh my God, food, let's be so scared now. That's such a bad thing. I think that's also planting, the anorexic seed possibly from the beginning in children's minds.
I mean, I started out as a kind of chubby kid and increased through all of these behaviors. I am this size because I dieted for 20 years.
Well, dieting doesn't get you to that size.
It does, actually. So when you go through the cycle of weight gain and re-loss and gain and loss and gain and loss, you do wind up at this size. I would never be. Yeah,
I was bigger than you.
I would never be a thin person.
Sat here.
I would never be a thin person. I was not before my dieting behaviors began.
But you're not answering my question.
She's saying that you've
I'm
given
saying
up.
that it's not about giving up is the thing. Like, I gave up dieting because it was a loser game for me. It made me fatter. It made me incredibly unhealthy. It made me full of self-loathing. I have permanently screwed up my metabolism.